cold wind of a dying planet blew across the empty battlefield. Smoke rose from the ruins of a once great human colony. Ships that once touched the stars now lay broken on the ground. The war had ended, but not in peace. It ended in silence. Commander Ethan Cole stood among the ashes, staring at the horizon. He had fought for 10 years against alien invaders who called themselves the Zephyrians. They came from beyond the blue stars, claiming the Earth colonies as their own. Humanity resisted, and the cost was heavy. Billions were gone, cities lost, and hope almost dead. Ethan was one of the last soldiers of the Earth Federation, wandering through the frozen wastelands of an ice planet called Naria 9. His ship had crashed during the final battle. There was no communication left, no rescue coming. He was alone. The ice cracked under his boots as he walked toward the mountains. His energy weapon was low, his oxygen tank half empty. Yet he kept walking. Humans never gave up easily. That was something the Zephyrians never understood. Humans fought even when there was no chance left. As he reached a frozen lake, he saw something strange. A soft, glowing light beneath the ice. It wasn't the reflection of his torch. It pulsed like a heartbeat deep under the clear frozen surface. Ethan frowned and knelt down. The light grew brighter. It looked almost alive. Curiosity won over fear. He pulled out his laser cutter and began melting the ice slowly. The blue light below shimmered like a gem, and then the ice cracked loudly. Ethan jumped back as a burst of air and energy exploded upward. The light became a glowing mist, spinning faster and faster until it took shape. Before him on the frozen lake, a figure appeared. Not human, not alien, but something far more beautiful and strange. She had soft, glowing skin that shimmered like silver mixed with light. Her eyes were bright and deep like twin stars. She looked at him calmly as if she had been waiting for him. Ethan froze in shock. What are you?" The figure tilted her head slightly. Her voice was soft, musical, but echoed like it came from everywhere. "I am the last of my kind. You may call me Lumera." Her name sounded like a song. Ethan stared, unsure whether to run or bow. She wasn't like any alien he had seen before. No armor, no weapon, no hatred in her eyes. Instead, there was warmth. But behind that warmth, there was sadness. "You freed me," she said gently. "I have been trapped in this crystal for many centuries." "You broke the seal," Ethan blinked. "Freed you?" "I didn't mean to. I was just trying to survive." Lumira smiled faintly. "Sometimes even small actions change everything." The cold wind blew harder, yet the air around her was warm. The ice beneath her didn't melt. She seemed to control the world around her, bending light and air without effort. Ethan could feel his exhaustion fading. His oxygen meter blinked back to full. His wounds began to close. Whatever she was powerful, far beyond human understanding. "Who trapped you here?" he asked, her eyes dimmed. "A war. Long before your kind came to this world. My people fought among ourselves. I refused to destroy, so they sealed me in crystal. For ages I slept beneath this lake, until your war shook the ground and broke the prison." Ethan looked around. The lake stretched for miles, the mountains silent. "So you've been here and waiting?" "Yes," she said softly, "waiting for a heart brave enough to touch the unknown." He didn't know why, but those words struck something deep inside him. Maybe it was because humanity had just lost everything, and yet here was something pure, untouched by greed or hate. A creature who looked at him not as a soldier, but as something more. Lumera slowly walked closer, her bare feet not sinking into the ice. "You saved me, human. For that I owe you one wish." "Any wish?" Ethan's breath caught. A wish? It sounded like something out of legend, not reality, but her tone was serious. Her eyes glowed brighter as she raised her hand. A soft light formed between her fingers. "You think this is a dream?" she said, sensing his disbelief. "But dreams are where truth hides. Speak, human. Tell me your heart's desire." Ethan looked down at his reflection in the ice. A tired man, broken by war, standing before something divine. He thought of all the pain, all the loss, all the soldiers who would never return. What could he possibly wish for? Revenge? Power? Home? The answer wasn't clear yet. But one thing was certain. This moment would change everything. The wind grew quiet, as if the world itself was waiting for his answer. The icy wind whispered softly around them. The light from Lumera's hands painted the frozen lake in silver and blue. Ethan stood silently, unsure if he should believe what he was hearing. A wish. It sounded impossible. Humans had built starships, fought wars, and reached distant galaxies, but they had never found anything like this. Lumira looked at him patiently. Her voice was calm, filled with both kindness and something ancient. "You have freed me from eternal sleep," she said. "You deserve one wish. Any wish your heart truly desires." Ethan stepped closer. "A wish, you mean? Anything?" "Anything," she replied softly. "Life, power, peace, knowledge, whatever you speak will become real." He looked into her glowing eyes. They seemed endless, like looking into the night sky. He thought about Earth, burned cities, lost families, and soldiers who would never return. His heart felt heavy. "I could wish to win the war," he said slowly. "You could," she answered. "But wars never end because of victory. They end because of understanding." Her words made him pause. No alien, no human had ever spoken like that to him before. "You talk like you've seen too many wars." "I have," she whispered. "I was once called a goddess of creation. My people destroyed each other for power. I gave them gifts of life, and they used them for death. That is why I was sealed here." Ethan lowered his gaze. He could feel her sadness in every word. For a long moment, there was only the sound of the cold wind and the quiet cracking of distant ice. Finally, she asked again, "What do you wish for, human?" Ethan closed his eyes. Memories flashed through his mind. His crew screaming as their ship burned. His commander's last words, the faces of children who would never grow up. He opened his eyes slowly and said, "I wish for humanity to have one more chance." Lumira tilted her head. "One more chance?" "Yes," he said. "We made mistakes. We destroyed worlds. But we also build, we love, we dream. I don't want revenge. I want us to start again, somewhere new. Somewhere we can do better." For a moment, Lumira said nothing. Then a soft smile appeared on her face. A smile filled with both pride and sorrow. "A wish not for yourself, but for your kind." She raised her hand and the lake beneath them began to glow. The light spread across the ice, flowing like liquid stars. The air trembled as if the entire planet was breathing. Ethan felt his heart race. The glow surrounded him, warm and alive. It felt like being inside a sunrise. He could see visions. Human cities rising from ashes, children laughing, new worlds blooming under new skies. But then, everything stopped. The light froze. Lumira's expression changed from peace to shock. "What's happening?" Ethan shouted. Her voice trembled slightly, the first time he had seen fear in her eyes. "Something. Resist the wish. A power from beyond. Someone doesn't want your people to rise again." Ethan's instincts kicked in. He reached for his weapon, even though it was useless against cosmic forces. "Who, the Zephyrians?" Lumira closed her eyes. "No, older than them. A race that feeds on chaos and war. They sense your wish and want to stop it. They call themselves the Architects." The ground shook beneath them. The sky darkened. A black tear appeared above the mountains, like a wound opening in space. From it, shadows began to pour, shapes that twisted and screamed without sound. Ethan looked up, his body tense. "You said I could wish for anything." "You did," she said, her voice echoing like thunder. "And that wish has awakened old enemies." The shadows reached the lake and the ice began to crack in every direction. Lumira's glow brightened as she stepped forward, her silver skin now shining like fire. "Stay behind me," she ordered. The first shadow lunged toward them, a dark, writhing mass with burning eyes. Lumira raised her hand, releasing a wave of energy that shattered the air. The creature screamed and dissolved into dust, but more came. Dozens. Hundreds. Ethan ducked as one passed above him, freezing the air around it. His breath turned to ice crystals. He rolled to the side, fired his weapon, but the laser just went through it. "They're endless," he shouted. Lumira's light flickered. Not endless, but powerful. Ethan could see she was weakening. The glow in her eyes dimmed. She was using all her energy to keep him alive. He moved closer. "What can I do to help?" She looked at him and truly looked. "Your wish still burns in my heart. If you trust me, I can bind our energies. Together we may stand against them." He nodded without hesitation. "Do it." She reached out her hand. When their fingers touched, a surge of warmth flooded through him. His body glowed faintly, like his soul had caught fire. He felt stronger, faster, alive. Lumira smiled faintly. "Now, human, fight beside me." The shadows screamed as light burst from both of them, covering the lake like a star exploding. For the first time since the war began, Ethan felt something powerful. Hope. As they stood together in the storm of darkness, the sky tore open wider and a deep voice echoed across the mountains, ancient and full of hate. So, the last genie dares to defy us again? Lumera's face hardened. And this time I am not alone. The light around them pulsed brighter, and the battle for humanity's second chance truly began. The world shook under their feet. The frozen lake shattered as waves of light and darkness collided. Ethan stood beside Lumera, his body glowing with the same silver fire that flowed through her. He could feel her energy inside him, warm, powerful, ancient. The sky above was torn open, revealing a black void filled with strange moving shapes. They were not ships or creatures, but shadows that seemed to eat the light itself. Every time one appeared, the stars around it disappeared. Ethan tightened his grip on his weapon, even though it felt useless. "Are those the architects?" he shouted over the roaring wind. Lumera nodded. Her voice was calm, but her face showed deep fear. "They are older than time. They build and destroy worlds for their amusement. They believe life is a mistake, something that must be controlled." Ethan's heart pounded. And now they want to stop humanity from coming back. "Yes," she said softly. "Your wish for a second chance threatens their order. They created the chaos of war to keep your kind broken. But you wished for hope, so, and that they cannot allow." The largest shadow descended from the rift, taking form. It became a tall, black figure with eyes like burning glass. Its voice echoed through the frozen air like thunder rolling across metal. "You again, Lumera," it said, each word vibrating in Ethan's bones. "You defied us once. Now you try again with this fragile human?" Ethan took a step forward, his voice strong despite the fear in his chest. "If you want me, take me. But humanity deserves a chance to live free." The figure laughed, a deep, cold sound. "You humans always speak of freedom, yet you destroy everything you touch. You do not need another chance, you need to end." Before Ethan could move, a blast of dark energy shot toward them. Lumera raised her arm, creating a shimmering barrier. The impact shook the lake and sent cracks racing across the ice. She winced, her light flickering. Ethan reached out, grabbing her arm. "You can't take all that alone." She looked at him, her silver eyes glowing brighter. "We are linked now. You must help me focus." He closed his eyes, trying to remember the feeling when they connected before. Warmth spread through him again, and suddenly he could see what she saw. Streams of light moving through everything. Ice, air, even the stars. He could feel the heartbeat of the planet itself. Together, they pushed back. The light grew stronger, wrapping around them like armor. The shadow screamed as the energy hit it, cracking its dark form. Lumera's voice rose, strong and clear. "The human heart burns brighter than your darkness." The shadow shrieked and pulled back, but more began to rise from the rift. Dozens surrounded them, circling like vultures. Ethan gritted his teeth. "We can't win like this. There's too many." Lumera nodded. "Then we don't fight to win. We fight to awaken." "Awaken what?" "The core of this world," she said. "It sleeps beneath the ice. It can rewrite reality if we reach it before they do." Without another word, she took his hand and leapt into the lake. The ice opened beneath them like glass melting away, and they plunged into the glowing blue depths below. The world turned silent. They floated through liquid light, cold but alive. Strange symbols glowed around them, ancient markings older than stars. Ethan looked around, amazed. "What is this place?" Lumera's voice echoed softly in his mind. "This planet was once a cradle of creation. My kind used it to give birth to new worlds. The core still beats, hidden beneath the ice. If we reach it, your wish can become true." Ethan could feel the pull of gravity fading as they descended deeper. Behind them, faint black trails followed. The shadows were chasing them even here. "They're coming," he said. Lumera's eyes glowed fiercely. "Then we must move faster." They swam through the glowing water like comets through space. Ethan could feel the light around him bending, moving with his thoughts. It was as if his will could shape it. He focused on speed, and suddenly the current pushed them forward. "You're learning," Lumera said, a small smile in her voice. At the bottom of the glowing abyss, they finally saw it. A massive sphere pulsing with blue light, surrounded by silver roots that spread like veins through the ice. The core. Lumera's voice trembled. "There it is, the heart of creation." But as they approached, the shadows poured in from every direction. The largest one, the same voice from before, spoke again. You cannot change what has already been written. Ethan raised his weapon, though he knew it was useless. Maybe not. But humans never stop trying. The core's light flickered weakly, as if unsure. Lumera touched its surface gently. It needs a spark, she whispered. A life willing to give everything for the future. Ethan realized what she meant. No, he said quickly. You can't. You just got your freedom back. She looked at him, her eyes filled with quiet sadness. And what is freedom if it is not shared? He shook his head. We'll find another way. The shadows screamed and lunged toward them. Ethan's mind raced. If the core needed a spark, then maybe it didn't have to be her. He took a deep breath. You said we're connected, right? Our energy is one now? Yes, she said, confused. Then let me be the spark. Before she could stop him, he pressed his hand to the core. Pain shot through his body like fire, but he didn't let go. Light exploded from his chest, brighter than anything he had ever seen. Ethan, Lumera cried, reaching for him, but the light consumed them both. The shadows screamed and dissolved. The rift above began to close. The frozen planet shook as the core awakened for the first time in eons. And then, silence. When the light faded, Lumera opened her eyes. The lake was calm again. The stars were shining, but Ethan was gone. She knelt on the ice, her glowing hands trembling. In the reflection below, she could still see his face, smiling. He gave everything, she whispered. For hope, above them, the first sunrise in centuries broke across the frozen mountains. And far away among the stars, humanity's new world began to awaken. The dawn over Neria 9 was calm and silent. Snowflakes drifted through the cold air like falling stars. The battlefield that once echoed with screams and thunder was now peaceful. The sky was clear, painted in shades of gold and blue. Lumera stood alone on the frozen lake, her silver hair glowing faintly in the morning light. The world was reborn, but Ethan was gone. She closed her eyes and whispered his name. The wind carried it softly, like the planet itself was listening. Ethan Cole. The core beneath the ice had awakened. It pulsed slowly now, like a sleeping giant breathing. The architect's rift had vanished completely. Humanity's second chance had begun, but it came with a price she hadn't wanted to pay. Lumera walked across the ice slowly, her bare feet leaving no marks. She could still feel the bond between them, faint, distant but not gone. Ethan's energy still lived somewhere, hidden in the flow of creation. She pressed her hand on the ice and whispered, "Show me where he is." A soft blue light spread beneath her palm, tracing patterns across the lake. The world responded. For a brief moment she saw him, a silhouette made of pure light drifting among stars far away. Her eyes widened. "He lives?" The vision faded quickly, but it was enough. She knew what she had to do. The core had not destroyed Ethan when it had transformed him. His wish was pure, selfless, and filled with hope. The core had accepted him, turning his soul into the spark that rebuilt the human race. He was no longer flesh and bone. He had become part of creation itself. Still, Lumera's heart ached. She could feel his presence in every breath of wind, every flicker of light, but she missed his voice, his courage, his stubborn human spirit. She looked up at the sky and spoke softly. "If you can hear me, Ethan, your wish worked. Humanity will rise again," her voice trembled. "But I am not done yet." Suddenly the peace broke. The ground trembled and the air turned cold again. Dark cracks appeared on the surface of the lake, not from the architects this time, but from something else. From beneath the ice, a faint voice echoed. It was not Ethan's, it was cold and hollow. "You think the war is over, Genie?" Lumera's eyes narrowed. "Who's there?" The ice split open and a black crystal rose from below, glowing with dark energy. Inside it, a shadowy figure took form, smaller than the architects but radiating fury. "I am Oron," the voice hissed. "The last general of the Zephyrians. Your core destroyed my armies and your human pet erased our future." Lumera stepped back, her light flaring brighter. "The war was your choice, not ours." "The war was survival," Oron replied coldly. "You gave humans power again. You gave them a second chance. I will not let them rise." The ice cracked louder as more dark crystals broke through, surrounding her. Shapes formed inside them. Zephyrian soldiers twisted by rage, half spirit, half shadow. Lumera clenched her fists. "You learned nothing." She raised her hand, releasing a wave of pure light. The blast shattered half the crystals, but Oron blocked it with a shield of black fire. He laughed darkly. Even gods fall, Genie. You are weak without your human. His words struck her heart like a knife, but they also fueled her anger. I am not weak, she said softly, her voice trembling with power. I am never alone. The ice beneath them glowed. The light from the core began to rise again, wrapping around Lumera's body. Her eyes turned bright white. She raised her arms, and for the first time since Ethan vanished, she felt him. His presence, his courage, his energy. Inside her. Ethan, she whispered, a soft voice answered in her mind. It was faint but clear, like a breeze across light. I'm still here. Her breath caught. Ethan.
I told you, the voice said gently.
Humans never stop trying. A smile spread across her face. Tears of light rolled down her cheeks. Then let's finish this together. Oron's expression changed. Impossible. The lake exploded with light. Lumera rose into the air, her body shining like a second sun. The ground trembled. Every crystal melted away under her glow. The dark soldier screamed and vanished. Oron tried to flee, but the light caught him, burning through his form. He roared, "This isn't the end!" Humanity will destroy itself again, you'll see. Lumera's voice was calm. Then they will rebuild again, because that is what they do. The final wave of energy burst outward, washing away the darkness. When the light faded, nothing remained. No shadows, no crystals, no war. Only peace. Lumera floated gently down to the surface. The lake was smooth again, reflecting the sunrise. She stood silently listening. Ethan, she said softly, where are you now? His voice whispered like light itself. Everywhere. In every new dawn, every spark of hope. You gave us the chance to begin again. Now it's your turn to live. She smiled faintly. And what if I can't? Then I'll remind you, his voice said. Because we're connected now. You and me. We are the wish. The wind brushed her hair. For the first time, she didn't feel alone. She turned her eyes toward the sky where a new human colony ship appeared, glowing bright against the stars, the first of many that would come. Humanity had returned, and somewhere among those stars, Ethan's light shone brightest. The stars looked different now. For the first time in centuries, they didn't shine over ruins, they shone over hope. High above Naria 9, giant ships moved silently through the night sky, each carrying the seeds of a new beginning. Humanity had returned, guided by something beyond science, by Ethan's light. Lumera watched from the mountain ridge, her silver hair glowing softly under the twin moons. The cold wind touched her face, but she didn't feel it. Her heart was warm again. She could still sense Ethan, faint, gentle, like the hum of a heartbeat inside every living thing. Down below, humans worked together, rebuilding their shelters and machines on the frozen ground. They were not soldiers anymore. They were builders, explorers, dreamers again. Lumera smiled softly. They learn fast, she whispered. They always did. Ethan's voice replied faintly inside her mind. She turned toward the sky. You're still here. Always, he said. Not as I was before. I'm part of the core now, part of everything that grows. Her chest tightened. I miss your voice. He chuckled softly. You're hearing it right now. She smiled, tears of light forming in her eyes. It's not the same. I know, Ethan said gently. But this is how it has to be. You gave humanity light again. Now they need you to guide them. Not as a weapon, but as a guardian. She hesitated. And what about you? I'll be watching. When you look at the sunrise, that's me saying I'm still here. The wind around her shimmered with faint silver sparks, his energy pulsing through the air. Lumera closed her eyes, letting herself feel it. For the first time since the war, she felt peace. But peace never lasted long in the universe. That night, as the humans celebrated their first sunrise with fire and laughter, Lumera stood near the frozen lake again. The ice reflected the stars like a mirror. Suddenly, the light beneath it flickered. Not the gentle glow of the core, but something else. She frowned. That's not right. The glow turned red. Then the ground shook. A deep hum spread across the valley, shaking the humans' camps. Tools fell, lights flickered, and the air grew cold again. Lumera, someone shouted. What's happening? She raised her hand, feeling the energy. It's not from the core, she whispered. Something is awakening. A shock wave burst from the lake, throwing snow and ice into the air. When the mist cleared, a dark metallic structure began to rise, enormous, ancient, pulsing with crimson light. Lumira's eyes widened. No, it can't be. Ethan's voice echoed inside her head. What do you see? It's a relic, she answered quietly. From before even my time. One of the architect's weapons. The structure rose higher, shaped like a giant tower of black metal, its surface covered in glowing red veins. At the top, a sphere opened slowly, and from within a single massive eye of energy appeared. The humans below screamed as a beam of red light shot into the sky. It wasn't an attack, it was a signal. They're calling something, Lumira whispered. Calling who? Ethan asked. She looked up at the stars and saw movement. Far beyond the atmosphere in the endless dark, shadows began to gather again. The architects aren't finished, she said grimly. They're coming back. Her hands clenched into fists. They won't stop until everything is gone. Ethan's voice grew firmer. Then you know what we have to do, she nodded. We fight again, but this time not alone. Lumira turned toward the human colony. The people were scared, confused, but alive. They looked up at her, waiting for guidance. Her silver light shone brighter, cutting through the darkness. Humans. Her voice rang across the frozen valley. You were given a second chance, and now you must defend it. The people gathered, fear turning into determination. Soldiers who once fought for survival now stood ready to fight for hope. Engineers grabbed old weapons, scientists activated shields, and pilots ran toward ships. Ethan's voice whispered through the comms, resonating in every speaker, every device. This is Ethan Cole. If you can hear me, know that I stand with you. You are not alone, the humans cheered. They didn't know he was no longer flesh, but they could feel his courage. His words became their strength. Lumira raised her hand toward the sky and energy burst upward like a beacon. Let them come, she said softly. We will show them what a wish can become. Above, the tower pulsed faster. The architect's shadows began to descend again, dark shapes moving like smoke across the stars. Ethan's light filled her heart. They're stronger this time, he warned. So are we, she replied. The sky turned red. The first bolt of dark energy struck, exploding above the human base, the air filled with thunder and fire. Yet for every blast of destruction, light rose to meet it. Ships lifted off, glowing with blue energy drawn from the core. Humans fought alongside Lumira's power, defending their new home. Through the chaos, her voice carried across the battlefield. This world belongs to those who believe in life, not in control. As the fight raged, Ethan's light began to focus through the core, forming into a massive shield around the planet. Lumira could feel his energy burning bright again. Ethan, she said through their bond, don't push yourself too far. I'm already part of the core, he replied calmly. If I burn brighter, it's because I finally understand what I was meant to do. The light of the core spread through space like a second sun, pushing back the shadows inch by inch. The architect's army began to falter. Their darkness cracked under the brilliance of human hope and Lumira's divine power. But deep within the tower, something far greater was still stirring, a presence older than even Lumira herself. Its voice whispered faintly through the chaos, You can delay creation, but you cannot control it forever. Lumira froze. That voice? Who is it? Ethan asked quickly. She looked up at the tower's red eye. It's not an architect. It's something worse. And as the sky turned crimson, the final battle for humanity's future began. The sky burned red as the architect's army filled the horizon. Their shadows spread across the stars like ink in water. Every blast shook the ground. Every roar echoed across the planet. Humanity's new home trembled under their rage. Lumira floated above the frozen plains, her light clashing against the darkness. She looked like a living star, radiant, fierce, untouchable. Below her, the humans fought with everything they had, old weapons, new machines, and endless courage. But the enemy was endless too. From the tower's red eye came a deep voice, calm, cold, and far older than any being that had ever lived. You cannot change what is written. Creation belongs to us. Lumira glared at the glowing tower. You call yourself a creator, but you only destroy. You feed on fear. You twist life for control. The voice laughed softly. And yet your human destroyed himself to play God. Tell me, Genie, how long before his kind does it again? Her fists tightened. You don't understand humans. Then explain them, the voice said mockingly. Explain why they burn what they build. Explain why they crave freedom but beg for rules. Lumira's light dimmed slightly. For a moment she didn't answer. Then she whispered, because they are real. They are not perfect. That's what makes them beautiful. The tower rumbled, the voice sounding like thunder. Beauty cannot exist in chaos. Then you've never truly seen life, she said firmly. The sky cracked as a massive beam of red energy shot toward her. She raised her hand, blocking it with a glowing barrier. The impact tore through the clouds. Sparks of light rained like falling stars. Ethan, she whispered inside her mind. I need you. His voice came through. Calm, steady, and warm. I'm here. The core below the ice began to glow again, pulsing faster. Ethan's energy spread through the battlefield like waves of light. Every human felt it, in their minds, in their hearts. Lumira smiled faintly. You kept your promise. Always, Ethan said. Let's end this, together. The tower's red glow pulsed violently. From its base, a massive creature emerged. A colossal figure of molten black metal, taller than mountains with the same single red eye. The humans looked up, terrified. What is that? Someone shouted. Lumira's eyes hardened. That is the first architect. The creature stepped forward, each movement shaking the world. Its voice thundered. I am the beginning and the end. I built the stars. I shaped the first life. I will decide who deserves to exist. Ethan's voice echoed across the air, amplified by the core itself. You don't get to decide that anymore. The first architect looked down, its single red eye focusing on the glowing core beneath the ice. You are nothing but energy, a spark pretending to be a god. Maybe, Ethan replied, but even a spark can start a new sun. Lumira raised her hands. The core flared brighter, joining her light. Together, their energy formed a blinding beam that shot upward, clashing with the architect's red blast. The air cracked, the ground split, and the mountains trembled. The light battle raged, neither side giving way. Humans watched in awe, holding their breath as two cosmic forces fought for the future. Lumira's voice shook. He's too strong. Ethan's voice remained calm. Then we give him what he can't understand. What's that? Choice. The light around Lumira changed. It wasn't just power now, it was emotion. Every memory of laughter, pain, love, and sacrifice. Every piece of humanity. Ethan channeled it through her and the light turned golden, alive. She shouted with all her strength. This is what you can't destroy. Life that learns, life that forgives, life that loves. The golden wave burst forward, piercing the architect's chest. The creature screamed, its massive form cracking apart. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, with a deafening roar, the first architect exploded into dust, vanishing into the void. The tower collapsed. The red glow faded. The sky cleared and the stars shone bright again. The battlefield was quiet. Only the soft hum of the core remained. Humans began cheering. Some cried, some fell to their knees, staring at the sunrise breaking through the clouds. They had survived. Lumira floated slowly down to the ground, her light fading softly. She looked at the horizon, her body trembling. It's over. Ethan's voice was faint now. You did it. Her heart tightened. No, we did it. He chuckled softly. You always correct me. The core's light dimmed. Lumira knew what it meant. His energy was fading. Ethan? She said quietly. Don't go. He paused. The core doesn't need me anymore. Humanity can grow on its own now. My part is done. Tears glowed in her eyes. You're not just energy to me. I know, he whispered. But remember my wish? She nodded, her voice breaking. A second chance for humanity. And you gave it to them, he said softly. Now you need to take yours. The light began to drift from the core, floating upward like fireflies. His voice faded with it. Leave, Lumira. See the worlds we'll build. Don't mourn me. I'm in everything you protect. She reached out, her voice trembling. Ethan, thank you. Thank you, he whispered. For believing in us. The light scattered into the sky, merging with the stars. Lumira stood quietly, her hands clasped to her chest. Around her, the humans approached, standing in silence. One small child looked up and asked, Who was he? Lumira smiled softly through her tears. He was a human. Who made a wish? The child tilted his head. What did he wish for? She looked toward the sunrise, golden and bright, and whispered, He wished for hope.